Hey there, I'd like to talk to you today about a subject that I commonly get asked. You see, doing what I do, I've got to be creative. I've got to be creative about how I produce videos, how I produce my audio, my hypnosis, you name it. It's about creativity, especially if you like writing and so on. Here's the thing. Creativity does not come from the place where you may think it does. And since many people have emailed me recently about wanting to be more creative, now this could be if you're a musician, it could be if you're a rapper, it could be if you're a writer, it may even be in your general job. Here's the thing. From everyone I know who has come up with some wonderful ideas, and from my own personal experience and everything that I've read about, creativity and those wonderful amazing breakthroughs when it comes to your ideas don't come from day-to-day stuff. It's not about sitting at your desk and just thinking of ideas. It's not about at your workplace. It's not about anywhere when it comes to where ideas maybe should be produced. You see, ideas aren't necessarily a conscious aspect of a process anyway. Ideas come out of the blue, very much in the same way that the memories just pop up, or if you listen to some music and it regresses you back. You don't consciously think of those things. And it's the exact same thing when it comes to creativity. So where do good ideas come from? Well, I think you're going to guess it by now, but they come from an unconscious aspect of you, where they just bubble up. I mean, when I talk, by the way, I'm not really conscious of what I'm saying. Yes, I have a good idea of like a subject, but when I'm turn on the camera, put on my audio, I just see whatever bubbles up in that moment. And it's a certain level of trance. Or you could say a different emotional state when it comes to ideas. Would you like to know the best times I create my ideas for videos, for new titles, for seminars, whatever it is? My best ideas come from when I'm outside of my office, when I'm actually completely in a different emotional state. For me personally, and you may even want to think back to this when you've had a good idea before. Notice where you were at that time. When did that idea come into existence? And I'm going to guess that it didn't come from you sitting there waiting for it to happen. In fact, when we do that, consciously we can trip ourselves up because we're not really in the flow. We're not really in the moment. So when I get my ideas is when I go running. So what I do every day at the moment, I mean, I've been working out, lots of exercise, like 2.5 hours a day at the moment, because that's one of my priorities, to get fit and to really feel good about myself on a physical level, because healthy mind, healthy body, and vice versa. So where I get my good ideas is when I'm running. What I do every day, pretty much every day, I go for a good 4-mile run, at least 5-6 times a week. And I put on my headphones and I listen to music which allows me to be inspired. And it could be things like motivational quotes. It could be just pumped up music. It could be just very much chilled out music. But when I'm in that state of running, my mind is not in the work mode. It's simply utilizing my energy and putting my head elsewhere. And the most wonderful things begin to pop up, because every run, and I can promise you this, every run that I go on, I get at least one good idea or creativity for when I come back and start working. It happens every time because we're in a different emotional state. We're in a learning state. We're in a state where our conscious mind is focusing on something else. Even our unconscious mind is focusing on something else, like the running. I mean, that's a physical process. Yes, I've got to consciously think about it, but my unconscious mind is doing that repetition of moving my legs, moving my arms. And in that state of mind, that's where the ideas begin to pop up, because you're not consciously thinking of it and you're engaged in doing something else. Now, for other people, it may be when you're in the shower. You could be just in the shower, you're in this kind of no mind state of just being, and suddenly an idea pops up to you. That is where you can learn ideas. I've met other people and it could be just walking down the stairs, something they do all the time, and as when they're walking down the stairs, an idea pops up into their mind. It could be those going for a walk or watching the sea, a sunset, and suddenly something pops up into their mind. That is where creativity is. So if you're wanting more creativity, it's not about setting an allocated amount of time at your desk to find creativity, because it's not to be found, it's for it to find you, and you've got to put yourself in a different emotional state. Now you can ask lots of people about this. If you know, like a scientist, someone who has to come up with breakthroughs and ideas, and every client I've had who's been a scientist, I've always been curious about how their mind works. And every time, the ideas that they come up with are majority outside of the workplace. In fact, it's usually on the commute, or when they're walking, well, still a commute, but when they're walking away from work, because they're out of their own mind, and that, if that makes sense. They're consciously not thinking about the thing, which allows the unconscious mind to piece everything together. Think about it like this. You've consciously got some ideas in your mind of wanting to be creative, or maybe an idea or a project, and you've got the basics of it. Now imagine that as being a puzzle. You've got all the pieces in there. However, your unconscious mind has to piece them together with you. When everything comes together is when your unconscious mind has time to allow it to bubble up into your awareness. And I think that's going to be a good analogy for you to think about, because when you put yourself in that other emotional state, you will come up with some wonderful creative ideas. It happens every time for me. It's very simple when you think about it like that, but give yourself the opportunity to go for that walk, go for that run. And if you're not big into running, by the way, it's okay. Just do maybe 2 or 3 minutes running a day and just build it up if you're starting from basics, or go for that walk, or go to the gym where you're just on the treadmill or the cross trainer. Ideas will begin to pop up to you. And I suggest activity, by the way, because we all know that when you're doing exercise, the endorphins are released, so it actually makes you happier. That's why it's good to have a healthy mind, healthy body. However, I also personally believe that when you're getting that physical activity and you're getting those endorphins, that's when the good ideas come out to play, because you've got all the pieces within you. It's just about allowing them to come together. It's a bit, imagine like when you go to sleep, you dream, right? You go to sleep and you have a dream, and usually it's about things you've gone through. Your unconscious mind is trying to work out certain things, certain issues maybe, or things which happened in the last week or the previous day. So in the exact same way, I want you to hand over the creativity, not to your conscious mind, but to your unconscious mind. Get yourself outside of your usual situation when it comes to work. And then, as you do that and you engage in some physical activity maybe, or you just go into that mindset of just being somewhere else other than work, your unconscious mind will bubble up these ideas. It's an amazing process, and I promise you, this is where all my video ideas come up from. In fact, there's where this idea came from, because I thought, well, I'm getting really creative. Wouldn't it be awesome to be able to just show people that you can do this as well? But for all the projects that I do, all the business decisions I make, they usually come from my unconscious mind, where I'm not consciously engaging in it as much. It's ultimately, I'm going for a run, I'm really feeling fired up, I'm listening to some inspirational music and so on, and suddenly, bang, it hits me, and I think, wow, this is amazing. And I find when that happens, those ideas are the ones you're truly aligned to as well, because sometimes we have these conscious ideas and we think about it and we think, I don't know if it feels right. But when the ideas come up from the unconscious mind, you begin to resonate with them, because you become more aligned and congruent with where you're heading. So there's a great way to get creativity, to get yourself out of the emotional state that you presently are in, by putting yourself in a new environment, preferably with activity. And usually, I mean, I've said this a few times now, I love running. And for me, it's one of those things where it's very much an insular thing, but an empowering thing. So I'm running by myself, Usually running in Cambridge, so I'm like running on the fields and things like that. I'm taking this amazing scenery in, and it just kind of comes to me straight away. So that's what I really suggest. If you want to be more creative, get yourself outside a new environment and just put your mind in a new place. And your unconscious mind will begin to provide you with those building blocks. So then when you go back into the office, you can then start to apply them into your daily routine. So you could say, yes, the workplace is fantastic for taking action on those ideas, but to get the ideas, get yourself in a new place. And as I said right at the beginning, think about when you've had some wonderful breakthroughs and some ideas or some aha moments, whether it be in work, whether it be in your relationship, whether it be in your health, whatever it is, consciously think about where that idea popped up. And the chances are you're going to find it where you were in a different place, where you were just being in the moment. Because in that place, you're not fighting your own conscious mind. There's no stress, there's no struggle, there's no fight, there's no saying, I need to come up with a good idea. It's a allowing process. You're in a moment of allowing because there's no expectation. You're just out there doing what you do, and then suddenly it just pops up into your mind. So I hope you like that. As I said, I got lots of emails about this recently, and I thought, wow, strangely enough, I was thinking about it on a run, and then I got all these emails coming through. So I thought it'd be a perfect idea to share this bit of information. Apply it, see what happens. Give it time as well, though. I mean, it's not like you're just going to go for a run for the first time and amazing ideas come up. It could happen, but you've got to get your mind in that right place. So do it frequently and notice what happens. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. Many thanks and goodbye.